service learning taps into what I think is really the core mission of who we are as human beings and as doctors. And the doctor part is just a privilege. It's just one vehicle to do what you think is important, which is to help people. So I don't diminish the value of reading all the books behind me. Yes, that's one part of it, but really, I would emphasize that's not the important part of who you are, either as a person or as a doctor. And let me give you a very clear example of why service learning in the community with the people who you will see later on as patients, we hide behind service learning, social determinants of health is important. I get all of that, but those are theoretical. Let me make this very personal and very basically selfish for each one of us, right? So I see some of my favorite doctors here on this call, Dr. Furstein and others, but they will all tell you, sometimes you get a patient with a very simple question. I'll take hypertension, right? Right now, all of you can diagnose hypertension, correct? You can even use one of those electronic cuffs. You don't have to do anything. The patient will say, yep, blood pressure is high. So we got the diagnosis correct. And you can look up and find a simple standard treatment for it, which is effective. So you got the diagnosis right, you got the treatment right. How many of our patients, of the 100 patients you would see in your service learning, how many of them will take the medicine and do well in 6 months? Somebody want to guess?
I guess 50.
You guess 50. Yes.
20.
So actually the data suggests that with a simple chronic illness, such as hypertension, where you got the diagnosis right, you got the treatment right, if the person took just one pill a day, they would feel better and prevent all the other problems we get down the road, strokes and heart attacks and all of that. About 50% will take their medicine. So you can read all the books. It's not going to help the 50% who won't take their medicine. And I see that as service learning. I see that as this is when you're going to learn how to understand that these are not bad people. They don't really want to have a stroke down the road. This is where social determinants comes in. This is where being human comes in. This is where you learn about someone not having money or having no time or all the simple things that make us human. So I would argue today that service learning is not an altruistic thing that you do and check a box and write an essay at some point and say, I helped all these people. I went into the poor neighborhoods. I'm a good person. All true. Actually, what you do is very valuable. And I don't mean to diminish that in any way. But more important is what you get. You will at the end of this be richer than the person you worked with. You will learn the next time someone comes in and you say, I don't get it. I know you're a sensible person, but you're not taking care of yourself. A very different question from you're non-compliant, you're non-adherent, we just quickly blame the patient and walk away, feeling very good. I did my job. I didn't. If my patient's not doing well, I failed. We can blame the patient as much, we can blame society as much as we want. The fact is, my patients don't get better. And so if you're going to judge me on how good a doctor I am, I failed. Just off the bat, 50% of my people are going to fail. And then off the 50 who take the meds, you're going to run into some that'll break through and don't do as well. And you'll switch meds and you'll add meds and you'll do tests. But you're starting with a 50% failure rate. And that's a simple thing like hypertension. It's shocking, but people with a diagnosis of cancer don't follow through 20% of the time. The C word, we're all convinced that we would absolutely do everything to take care of ourselves and live, but we don't. So I would like you to think about your better angels, to think about why you wanted to be a physician a healer, and that being a physician has significant portion of classroom work, but being a true healer is being out in the community, reaching out and understanding people, in being able to connect to people rather than blaming them, in being able to ally and to work with them to overcome whatever it is that is not allowing them to take care of themselves. And honestly, it comes down to that simple recipe. And I would say to you, it's wonderful that you're here because you're already interested. You already tapped into your better angels. But at the end of this, your patients that you work with, or the people you work with, or the students you work with will be better off. But I guarantee you that you will be 5 times richer than they are from this experience. And I see this as not just an add-on experience. You know, this is not extracurricular, as you wrote in your essay when you were applying to med school. I see this as absolutely essential to being a doctor, to being a healer, to being a good person, working with another good person, to do the best you can for them. So thank you for what you're doing. I know the great work that Simone has shepherded all these years. Again, I know it's sort of separated out as a Center for Civic Engagement. I would love to call it as sort of a center for just continued growth, your growth, not giving, your growth. As important as eating right that we were discussing, it's as important as exercising, it's as important as wellness. It's really core to you doing the best work you will for the rest of your life. So this is going to be a very small investment on your part that I assure you will pay off big time. So thank you very much again. I would look forward to hearing about all the wonderful things you do. And every time we sort of walk through the posters, I'm always impressed at how amazing it is, the impact that you make, the work you've done, the creativity. So thank you for all of that. That does help the community, but I'm also most excited to see how you grow.